about to listen to the Dr. Daliah Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Daliah Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Daliah.
All right. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. 1-877-Dr. 1-877-DOC-DALI. We knew Trump would kind of shake stuff up, right, once he got back into the White House. And I guess there's a lot of news surrounding our tariff war with Canada. And I'm not here to discuss tariff wars and go back into the history of tariff wars and what Reagan did and Lyndon B. Johnson did and what happened with tariffs after World War II. And tariffs happen whenever we feel like we're overpaying for a product, or there's an issue with the market where we are being outpriced by other countries. Tariffs, they happen. But there seems to be this focus on Canada becoming our 51st state. Does Trump really want Canada as our 51st state? Or is this a distraction? Is this a negotiation? Is there something he really wants out of Canada? And because he's asking for the moon, Canada will feel like they succeeded in the negotiations, not allowing that 51st state issue to happen, but negotiating down and giving the U.S. what they originally wanted anyway. You know, it's like when I fight with my husband. If I want something, and it's really not that much, and he's in the no mood, I'm going to ask for something. You know what I think we need to do? I think we need to spend one of our vacations, like a really good 7 to 10 day vacation with my family. Oh, God, no. You know what? I'm fine. I could just myself take a trip to whatever. Yeah, just do that. And then boom, I got my trip. So, there's a lot of ways that people negotiate. But one of the elements to this that has escalated is Trump had said, based on Ontario, Canada, placing a 25% tariff on electricity coming into the United States, I have instructed my Secretary of Commerce to add an additional 25% tariff or 50% on all steel and aluminum coming into the United States from Canada, one of the highest tariffing nations anywhere in the world. He said, I will shortly be declaring a national emergency on electricity within the threatened area. And I guess Ontario Premier Doug Ford put a 25% tariff on Canada electricity to Michigan, New York, and Minnesota. So this sort of back and forth now is obviously not helping. Stock market going up and down. Stock market dropped a lot over the last couple of days. For some of us, our stocks are going up, back up today, but it's still showing a lot of volatility. And I guess Trump has said that the tariffs will stop once Canada decides to become our 51st state. So is that really what's going on? I mean, let's really break this down. Is that really what's going on? Does Trump really want to take on Canada, who would probably be Democrat, and then tipping the Electoral College towards the Democrats, the Senate towards the Democrats? Is that really what Trump wants? Or does he want his legacy to be that he annexed Canada, which I don't think is going to happen. It's definitely not going to happen, before the midterms. Is it that Trump really wants Greenland and he doesn't want Canada, but he is distracting all of us with this move with Canada? And you have a lot of people protective of Canada. Oh, Canada, and because we feel sorry for them, because sometimes their hockey is inferior to ours, right? So you have a lot of people going, oh, let's not mess with Canada. Let's not mess with Canada. So maybe he's going after Canada, because you notice nobody's talked about Greenland. And maybe it's all about Canada right now, just so he can go, all right, we'll leave Canada alone, but can we at least go for Greenland? And then America's like, yeah, because I don't want to mess with Canada. I don't like the tariffs. If Greenland is easier, yes, we'll support you on that one. I'm trying to kind of figure out his psychology of this all. I understand that would really put him in the history books if he would annex Canada and then make it a 51st state. But if you really think about it, is that something he really, really wants? Now, does he, and now, mind you, the border, we would be more secure if we had control of the Canadian border. So he said the three things is Canada has to stop illegal immigrants from coming over. They have to stop the fentanyl and drugs from coming over, which is proven to have happened. It is ridiculous what happens in our northern border. But also from what he said, for the tariffs to stop to become our 51st state. That is a huge jump, and people are wondering, is there a method to his madness, or is he just becoming land crazy? And I think this is a distraction. I think there is something bigger and better he is working on, and he needs the media and he needs everybody leaving him alone and just looking at that while he gets other stuff done. Now, what is that other stuff? Is it Greenland? Is it getting the hostages out of Gaza? Is it, because right now people are starting to lose their patience with Trump because of what's happening with their 401ks, what's happening with the stock market. Egg prices are not going down, and we got Easter and Passover coming up. A lot of us need to buy eggs for that. Otherwise, we're going to be eating matzah, and it's going to scrape our intestines unless you soften that sucker up with egg. Yeah, you're bleeding by day 2 of Passover. Not to mention, we want to make Easter eggs. So there's, he had said during his joint session to bear with things. It's going to be a little rough and bumpy in the beginning. He's not wrong with that. He's not wrong. This whole 2 steps forward, 1 step back. I mean, there's a lot of, waste, fraud, and abuse. There's lots of things that need fixing. But many people have been looking at the Canada-America relationship as, well, that's been fine. Has it? Do we give Canada millions of dollars? Do we really not have control over that border? So I think it's a distraction, but we'll see. 1-877 Doc Daliah.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by right now to answer your questions for free. They'll tell you if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-710-5100. I'm here with spokesman John Wolf. So, John, tell our listeners who should call right now.
Well, Maria, first off, thank you for having me join you to answer the listeners' questions. Now, as far as who should call in, anyone who's been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, give us a call right now and find out how much your case is potentially worth. Call 800-710-5100.
Thanks, John. You heard it, folks. If you think you deserve compensation, call now to find out how much you qualify for. 800-710-5100.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example,
diesel fuel cetane levels.
The cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
In a study, it was found that 33% of 44 herbal supplements had no trace of the advertised herb. Don't let that happen to you. Hi, this is Dr. Mitch. If you want to ensure quality, please go to totalwellness.com. Supplements made for physicians only now available to you too. totalwellness.com, helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
All right. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show, 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Dr. Daliah or X, Facebook, the Dr. Daliah Show, YouTube, click like and subscribe. So this was an interesting article from Popular Science, how our prescription drugs get their names. Right? Like, oh, it's magic, right? For Ozempic, it's magic, or whatever. Okay. I know I can't sing it on key. Gosh, what other drug has, now they're trying to make them all sort of catchy names, but where do these names come from? And there's some guidelines as it pertains to names of our drugs. And so this is, a lot of this is common sense, but it's also very interesting to talk about. So our prescriptions have to have a basic generic name that allows anybody across the globe to understand what sort of class it's in. So, for example, if there's benazepril, lisinopril, captopril, enalapril, those medications are the ACE inhibitors. It's a class of blood pressure medications. So if you see it end in ill, that's usually something that's a ACE inhibitor, except for sildenafil. For sildenafil, that's more of an erectile dysfunction drug. So I get that there's some semantics in it, but overall, drug makers as well as consumers could identify what the drug is, such as like Profen. That's in an anti-inflammatory family. Statin, atorvastatin, rosuvastatin, it's a statin for cholesterol lowering. And so generic names are assigned by international organizations such as the U.S. Adopted Names Council, or USAN, the FDA, or the World Health Organization. And they do this to ensure consistency, clarity, safety, according to Popular Science. They have to follow these strict guidelines depending on their active ingredient, chemical makeup, and therapeutic effect. Now, they say that the drug manufacturer sits this part of the process out so that the name remains purely on the drug's chemical structure and it doesn't have a little bit of Pfizer in it, or it doesn't have a little bit of Merck. It allows that sort of objectivity. So the drug manufacturer, from what I understand, does not help pick the generic form. That is for these global or these agencies. Then, like, for example, biologics, these are the medications derived from organic life to be injections or infusions. They have a different naming system, a non-proprietary name combined with a distinguishing but random suffix, which helps tell the medications apart, because the medicines have to be similar in name, but they have to be different because they are different. So it does take a little bit of choreography. But the brand names come in to make the drug more sellable, marketable, be very legally distinct. A brand name drug is more open to lawsuits. You can't necessarily sue a generic company or the drug maker of a generic because there's so many different ones. But if it's the brand name, then there's just one company behind that. And so there's the brand name that identifies it coming directly from that manufacturer. So when you see Viagra, Xanax, Zoloft, Z-Pak, these are brand names. Lipitor, Crestor. Now, they say that developing the brand name is also intense. The company wants something that's catchy, distinctive, so that, like Z-Pak. Z-Pak was probably one of the best marketing names ever because people like the idea of taking a pack that fixes your problem. It was a very easy medication to take. It was easy to say. It was easy for doctors to write. They didn't. So when you would write prescriptions, you would have to write 500 milligrams 3 times a day if it's amoxicillin for 10 days for strep, or azithromycin, 2 tablets of the 250 milligrams day 1, and then 1 tablet of the 250 milligrams day 2 through 5. You didn't have to do that. With brand name Z-Pak, all you had to do was write Z-Pak, and I had to scribble my signature. and it made things easy. That was some brilliant marketing on Pfizer's part. But it's not that easy to get a name such as that. Oh, they also did TriPack. TriPack is where they changed the formulary from rather than 250 milligrams 2 day 1 and then 1 day 2 through 5, you could take 3 500 milligram doses. So TriPack was still the same amount of azithromycin, but you took 500 milligrams day 1, 500 day 2, 500 day 3. It was in a beautiful pack, and you're good. Same thing with steroids. The Medrol dose pack. The Medrol dose pack was brilliant in terms of its branding and its marketing, because when you take a steroid, you need to wean off of it. You want it to work pretty quickly to calm down your inflammation, but if you stop it abruptly, that can mess with your adrenals. So the Medrol dose pack, when you open up the pack, it already is colored, it already has the days, it already has the diminishing dosing. So you're good, just like a birth control pack. So there's a lot of marketing involved with that. But they say as it pertains to the brand name, that could take a lot longer because the FDA has to make sure that your name is not too close to another drug. Now, some of you will say, I really want to sell my drug, and Viagra is a big seller, so why don't I name my birth control pill Viagra? Right? Let's name it Viagra. No, the FDA won't allow it. It's just too darn close to Viagra. It won't do it. So according to David Holdford, the FDA is a real stickler. He's a professor of pharmacotherapy at Virginia Commonwealth University. He says they do a real thorough analysis. They use testing, consumer research methods from different languages and cultures to see how the brand name resonates. And it's a process. Now, we used to have to use something called the Merck manual to identify drugs and figure out, once we hear the name and know the name, that's good branding. That means, we don't have to look it up. We know what the name, and most of us doctors do. They say, though, sometimes the proprietary name could be so ubiquitous that it becomes a trademark issue for the company itself, called genericide. Genericide is like what happened to Kleenex, where somebody will be like, do you have a Kleenex? They're actually called tissue, but we call them Kleenex. It just became such a brand name, like jacuzzi. Do you guys have a jacuzzi? Well, it's called a hot tub, but we're so used to the brand name, we call it jacuzzi. Wave runners. Those are, I think Wave Runner is a brand name. Jet ski is, I believe, a brand name. Tylenol. Take a Tylenol. Well, Tylenol is a brand name. So it may increase market share and brand awareness, but it could also cause issues in terms of trademark because everybody's using that term now. Viagra. There's Cialis, there's Levitra. There are other medications out there that are very commonly prescribed, but everybody calls it a Viagra. They beat them to the punch. So it's interesting. These drugs have their names. They're supposed to be easily identifiable, and there is a process to it. But, there was a person who had committed suicide, we believe. And the investigators thought that they had done that because they had taken Ambien, a medication for sleep, very commonly for sleep. The brand name is Ambien, but the generic form of it, because it's been generic and off patent for a while, is Zolpidem. And I was talking to an attorney, and the attorney said he was going to sue the company, the brand name of Ambien, but it turned out the gentleman took a generic, so he couldn't sue them. Now, I'm not a big fan of companies getting sued unless they really, really, really were involved with what transpired. I mean, many individuals who are suicidal may take medication for sleep. It doesn't necessarily mean the sleeping aid caused that. But if you sleepwalked while on the medication and decided to go off your balcony, that could be an issue and that could be a lawsuit. But the names are very, very tricky. And so I love, my background is also marketing and PR. And so seeing how these medications I'm watching these commercials like Rinvoq and gosh, Ubrelvy, and there's all these drugs, and they're trying so hard to make it catchy or make a song "We Go V," and they're doing and it really is a cash grab. You have to decide what's going to work for you. I understand you're paying for some pretty expensive commercials, but if generic works for you, or if the brand name works for you, that's really what counts. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH. Dr. Daliah here. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out.
Lisa Wolf here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you. And be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
Back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So, no bones about it. Unemployment is going up. We have many people either getting laid off from the federal government, or AI is taking over jobs, or the economy is still in a slump, and people are, unemployed, having a tougher time getting hired. Also, I think a lot of employees are more picky. So if you want remote work, if you want short commute, if you want maternity and paternity leave and all sorts of other things, free parking, it's going to make it a little bit more difficult for you to get, the ideal job you want. But if it's, I apologize, I'm having a little issue with my Facebook Live. But if you're a little bit more, shall we say, flexible, that could really help you. Now, many of you are doing what everybody else is doing. They're going on to LinkedIn or ZipRecruiter. They're trying to find a job. They're clicking easy apply. They're sending their resume, and they're hoping they get a call back. And a bot will reject you or will send you a thank you for applying. We will review it and reach out to you if we're interested. And you sit there and wait, and you sit there and wait. Well, see, for me, I always have to be working. Okay, I thank God I've never needed to apply for unemployment, but unemployment eventually runs out, or it doesn't cut the bills or cover the bills. So what should you be doing? Well, first and foremost, a big problem we end up having is when we do lose our job, we're like, I just got to take any job. And then you get into that job, and then you're working there for a couple years, and then you're bouncing around jobs, and then you become not happy. If you do have a little bit of time and a little bit of wiggle room while you're collecting unemployment, do your research. If there really is a job or a career you want, just spend some time doing some research. And I'm not saying Google. I know a lot of us research with Google. What I'm saying is volunteer or intern. Now, I know to a lot of people that's a dirty word. When a baby boomer or a Gen X hears intern, they're like, okay, you're telling me to work for free and get coffee and be, but millennials and Gen Zs, they had their act together. They got paid for interning. Now, you could approach it any way you want, whether you want money or not. But if there's really a career you want, or there's an industry that you want to break into or you want to grow, you need to understand it from the inside. Many people are not getting hired either because of their age or because of their gender or because the job posting was a ghost posting, or I don't know, your email is an old email and it's aging you, or you don't have. When people get a job, most of the time those key jobs are obtained by somebody familiar with you. You need to make people familiar with you. Well, how do you do that if you're just a graphic image among thousands of other applications? Now, I had to pavement pound. I mean, in the 90s, when I wanted a job, I had to pavement pound. And I would go in and introduce myself, and then luckily I would be able to get a job that way. But many human resource departments aren't there. So when you pavement pound, you walk in and they're like, just apply online. So then what I would do is say, are you taking any interns or volunteers? Do I want to learn the business. Now, one thing about corporations is if they could get somebody to work for free, they want that. Look at Elon Musk, where people were throwing themselves at him to be a part of Doge. Now, some of them are getting salary from what I'm hearing. But initially, when people are like, well, I want to work for Elon Musk, he said, there's no pay in this. People wanted it. They wanted access to him. They wanted people to see what he had. They wanted that on their resume as a resume builder. So, if you do like marketing or finance, etc., and you tell them, look, I'd like to be for a month or two and learn the business and see if this is right for me and see if I could help you, that could go a long way. Because in that internship or that volunteering, you're making contacts, you're seeing how things work, you now are gaining experience. So on your resume, you could say you were at this company. And now you have a letter of reference, you have letters of recommendation, and it's really valuable because the big mistake a lot of us are making is we're sitting at home watching Netflix and we're not building a resume. I was at a conference, the Intercollegiate Broadcasting Symposium, the IBS, which is good because I have IBS, and there were a lot of college students there who were manning the radios of their local college stations. And I told them how proud I was of them because that's brilliant. Because one, you're really busy trying to get through college. You might be supporting yourself like I did, but then you're taking time to do radio. Not a lot of money in radio, if any. But doing that makes your resume look brilliant. Because if now you're in radio, well, you're broadcasting, you're able to communicate. You are doing journalistic duties, you're marketing, PR. There are so many different things you are doing when you're on radio. You're working with sales, you're working with people, you're working with charities. That now you have just cast that net to a whole slew of individuals who now know who you are. Now, I'm not saying I could get a vice president job at the drop of a hat. In fact, for a lot of people listening to my show, they're probably like, no, I know too much of her. But for many of you, you'll actually do well when people know you. And so maybe, if you're like, I can't find anybody, I don't know what I want to do, why don't you go to your local radio station? Why don't you go to your local radio station and say, hey, can I intern for a few weeks? You don't have to pay me anything. Now, they might say, well, the law says I do have to pay you, but it's minimum wage, and then fine, great, let them pay you. As long as it doesn't mess with what you could, do in terms of your unemployment, et cetera. But get that experience. I told you guys, write a book. Really easy to write a book. It may not be a New York bestseller, but Amazon will publish it for free. They'll take a big cut every time it sells, but you could write a book, upload it. They'll help you with the cover, and now you're an author. On your resume, you're now an author. So if you start to do these things, you really build up experience, you build up your persona. And another thing, too, is it shows you weren't sitting on your ass when you were unemployed. A big red flag is when there's a few years of a dearth on your resume. So you were here between 2010 and 2015, and then you were there from 2015 to 2021, and now you're here looking for a job. Well, what happened in the last 4 years? Where were you? Jail? What were you doing the last 4 years? Now, for those of you going, Dr. Daliah, I haven't done anything. I haven't. Okay, well, maybe you did. Did you donate blood? Did you work with a charity? Were you writing your book? Were you blogging? Were you doing research? If you were, then you could add those entries. I mean, it may look ticky-tack. It may not, look really substancy, but you did do something. Now, volunteering and working with a charity, it's a must. I think that's huge. Definitely do that because, one, these charities need your help. And it is so rewarding, and it makes you want to get out of bed in the morning. If you're working at the local shelter, at the food bank, etc., and if you haven't done that, go and do it tomorrow. They are always looking for volunteers. And don't just do it, just have it on your resume. Do it to help people. But that really helps. So that's huge. Reading to kids, babies. There's just so many things you could do that really makes it matter. So that would be my recommendation. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH. Don't go away.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by right now. They'll tell you if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-910-7500. That's 800-910-7500. Call now to find out how much your case could be worth.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
In a study, it was found that 33% of 44 herbal supplements had no trace of the advertised herb. Don't let that happen to you. Hi, this is Dr. Mitch. If you want to ensure quality, please go to TotalWellness.com. Supplements made for physicians only now available to you too. TotalWellness.com, helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
Self-reliance. It's not a phrase we hear much in our culture these days. It might conjure up images of pioneers, the West, rifles, strapping men, and strong women. But what does it mean for us in today's world? The New American Magazine has just released its latest collector's edition, Self-Reliance, Foundation of Freedom. In it, the New American authors outline the necessity of self-reliance for a free people, tips for self-reliant living, and the importance of not giving up hope. This unique edition includes articles on the self-sufficiency of the founders, preparing for a worst-case scenario, firearms, financial self-reliance, the importance of community, and many other topics by expert writers. Now, for a limited time, the New American is offering a bundle of 3 collector's editions, Self-Reliance, The Great Reset, and Trump World, for just $19.95. Available at shopjbs.org. Visit shopjbs.org today.
All right. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So they are saying that half of all adults in the United States are going to be obese. And this is going to be happening in the next coming decades. 25 years, 1 in 2 of us are going to be overweight. The team of researchers looked at in 2021, 1 billion men and 1.1 billion women over 25 years of age worldwide qualified as overweight and obese, twice as many as 1990. And they said more than half of the world's overweight and obese adults lived in 8 countries. China had 402 million, India 180 million, U.S. 172 million, Brazil, 88 million. Russia, 71 million. Mexico, 58 million. Indonesia, 52 million. Egypt, 41 million. Now, keep in mind, China is one of the most populated, India as well. But still, that's a lot. And they say if the increase continues at this pace, the study projects that more than half of men and women will be overweight or obese by 2050. The three countries expected to have the highest rates of overweight or obesity will be China, India, and the U.S. The study also found that by the year 2050, nearly 1/4 of obese adults will be 65 or older. Hey, obesity is not good. I understand there was a study a few years back saying obese seniors do better than thin seniors, but most of the studies say obesity does us in. So I'd like to kind of go with the majority on that one, and let's try to get to a normal weight. But if you're like me, this starts to go in one ear and out the other. We keep hearing, we're too fat, we're overweight, Americans are overweight. Well, what are we going to deal with this practically? We could say we're overweight and our country is too fat as the day is long, but that's not really hitting home. Many of us look in the mirror. We look at our pictures on social media because we'll angle the camera. See, I never post a picture where I think I look fat. That picture gets thrown out or it's stuck on my phone because I didn't upload that one. And then when I notice my husband got me at a great angle, ooh, I like that picture. That's the picture that goes up. And then I just go about my merry day. I should really be looking at that picture that I never wanted to get posted. And I told you, one trick I told patients to do is take a picture of you in a bikini or a bathing suit. I can't do that. No. Listen, it works. And you have that picture in a drawer in your desk at work. Hopefully nobody goes into your drawer. You can lock it up. Or anytime you start, I guess, hankering for some food and snacking. And before you do that, look at that picture of you in the underwear or bikini. And oftentimes that's, I'm not hungry. Well, that's one thing we could do. Another thing you could do is get a scan, have your doctor scan you, and show you all the fat that is depositing around your organs. That's pretty frightening. That makes me want to lose weight all the time. Now, some of you will say, Dr. Daliah, I want to lose weight. It just doesn't happen for me. I'm in that part of the population where it doesn't matter what I do, the weight will not come off. All right, so what are you doing? Well, I walk the dog, and I've cut my sugar. I don't drink any beer anymore. And you might have to do a little bit more than that, than walking the dog. You might have to up the pace. Well, my dog won't keep up. Then put the dog in a stroller. If you need to step it up, don't let the dog limit you. Throw the dog in a stroller if it's a smaller dog, and you push that stroller and you move faster. Or you go play some basketball with the kids, or go play pickleball, or go for a hike. Where I live, the weather is pretty amazing. It's 60 degrees right now. It's nice outside. You could get some great hiking in, some elevation, etc. I was just in New York. I love walking around in New York. It's just, it's flat. It's pretty easy. And you could be walking blocks upon blocks and not even realize how many miles you're putting in. Go for a walk. In terms of your eating, that's the hardest part of it. I like sweets. I like carbs. All right, so cut it in half. Start making moves, baby steps. I was in Germany with my son. He was there for work. And we went to a restaurant, and my son ordered the burger. And I ordered the steak. And when they served him the burger, it wasn't like McDonald's or Burger King where there's two slices of bread, a top bun and a bottom bun. It was an open-faced burger. And he's like, where's the top part of the bun? And he asked the waiter, he goes, no, that's how it's done here. Now, we come from German descent. Hamburgers do have two buns. So I'm not really sure what the restaurant was doing. But my son's like, fine, I will eat the burger without a top bun. You know, you could do that. You don't have to have 2 buns. You also don't have to eat a whole sandwich. You could cut the sandwich in half. There was a very good deli. There's always good deli in New York. And they made me a chicken salad sandwich. I love chicken salad because you got the chicken in it, and then you got the vegetables in it. So I feel like I'm getting a couple of my food groups. And again, I only eat half. Save the other half. You could start cutting some of your food down in half. If you really need chocolate and you really need a taste of chocolate, or there's a piece of cake, share it with somebody. Take a spoonful, and then you're done. Another thing that really, really helps is chewing your food. If you chew your food slow and you don't gulp it down like Popeye and his spinach, or, SpongeBob and Krabby Patties, if you eat things slow, you'll feel more full. If you drink a glass or 2 of water before every meal, that'll also fill you up. So there's a lot of things, there's a lot of tricks that you could do. But if you feel like that's not working and you need help, there is help. There's Weight Watchers, there's nutritionists, there's your medical providers. We do have drugs now, such as the Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro, Zepbound. But keep in mind, if insurance stops paying for them, or you have any side effects, or it's in short supply and you can't get the medication, your weight goes back up. So you're going to still have to figure out a way to lose weight without drugs. And if it is something biologic, such as you're producing too much cortisol and steroids, or your thyroid is off, get that addressed. If you're drinking diet soda, stop. Diet soda makes you fat. It just does. It messes with your insulin. It makes you crave more sugar. Get off the diet soda. And I know a lot of people say, yeah, but I do that because it gives me something sweet, and then I don't take in the calories. Yeah, but then you're hungry an hour or 2 later. Don't be doing that. But we have to do something about this obesity issue, because obesity is linked to heart attack, linked to stroke, linked to arthritis, back issues. The only reason why I haven't had a knee replacement is because I exercise a lot and I'm really trying to work on my weight. But if I let that go even more than sadly it has, I'm going to need a knee replacement. I am going to need one soon anyway, because it was sports that messed up my knees. But still, if you want to protect your joints, lose weight. If you want to minimize your risk of cancer, lose weight. If you want to live longer and be around for the grandkids, lose weight. And lose weight naturally. 1-877 Doc Daliah.
Did you know that healthy arteries make a gas? Yes, actually 3 known gases. Hi, I'm Dr. Mitch, and nitric oxide is a gas that's readily made all day long to keep our arteries open by relaxing the blood vessel walls. By doing this, our circulation is increased, bringing blood, oxygen, and nutrients to every part of your body. Both age and poor diet can lead to a loss of this precious gas, and in turn, blood pressure can go up, energy can go down, and you can get tingling in your hands and feet. Well, our product, Ultimate Nitric Oxide, can easily help fix this lack of nitric oxide. Go to TotalWellness.com. That's TotalWellness.com, where we are helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.